Hey everyone, welcome. I'm about to have a chat with my friend Nancy McDonough. Nancy hosts amazing textile tours in Kyoto. She generally hosts them twice a year, and I'm excited that I'll be hosting or co-hosting one with her coming this October 2025. So this is an information session all about that. I'm going to pause this and we'll restart the recording when everyone is in, and we'll get going. We'll tell you all about these amazing tours. I'm very excited about this. Okay, hang in there. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm very excited to introduce you to Nancy McDonough. So a lot of you know that last month, I can't believe it's already May, and I'm saying this, last month, I went on a trip to Japan, and I'd planned it all myself. And then Nancy reached out to me on Instagram and said, I do these tours in textile tours in Kyoto. And, would you be interested in learning more about them? And I was like, this is wild because I'm actually going to Kyoto in April. So Nancy was kind enough to connect me with one of her coordinators, one of her hosts there. And they planned a whole creative day for me and my son in Kyoto. And we just had this incredible time. I said to Nancy, I think out of the 2 weeks we were there, honestly, it was the best day we had just because it was so special. And just having an opportunity when you travel on your own and you're not really meeting a lot of locals or people from the place you're in, right? So having the opportunity to talk to artisans and craftspeople and really connect with them was just so special. So I just feel like it was a really wonderful day. So after I got back, I said to Nancy, this was incredible. I know I'm not the only quilter who would be totally inspired by going to Japan, and you do these textile tours, and maybe we could work together, and I could reach out to my community, and maybe I can get some friends to come along with me on a future tour. So we're hoping Nancy plans them twice a year, usually, right?
Mhm.
And we're hoping to get a group together to go this October 2025.
Shoot.
Shoot. Oh,
I'll be in Spain.
oh, Deb,
Too bad.
you're such a jet setter. Well, we're kind of like reaching out to
Okay.
get a feel for who could do it this year, who might be interested next year.
I could do next year, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, anyway, Nancy's going to do a great slideshow. Give us a talk so you can get to know her and get to know more about her tours, and then we can ask questions. All right. All right. So I'm just going to highlight Nancy.
Oh boy.
No.
Hello, everyone. I'm coming to you from upstate New York. I'm not quite sure where everybody is there, but it's cold and rainy here. And it's, anyway, so my name is Nancy McDonough. I have a company called Kyoto Kimono because I lived in Kyoto for 3 years in the mid-90s. I went over to teach English, but I've always loved textiles, and I got completely committed to textiles while I was there. I came back in 1996 and started my company, Kyoto Kimono, because that internet thing was just happening and people were kind of finding out about things that way. And I've been doing this ever since. In 2000, I had some customers who wanted to come on my buying trip with me, and I thought that was a fun idea. So this is how that started. So it's been 25 years, and I go twice a year in May and October. I bring a group. It's all textile focused. I'll show you a slideshow in a second. 10 people is the max, so it's a small tour, and I like to think of it as kind of an expat version because I live there. So it's not your typical tour in the sense that we don't do a lot of the postcard sites. There is free time. You can do that on your own, but mainly it's to focus on meeting artisans who've been doing this for generations in their family. Libs met one that day. And then we do some workshops so you can try your hand at shibori or indigo dyeing or stencil painting, that kind of thing, use stenciling. And then we do 2 markets. One is a craft market, which is a half day, and it kind of shows you what the Japanese folks are doing with some of these textiles. And it's not just textiles, it's a real craft market, very creative. And then there's the temple markets, which you might have heard of. There's 2 in Kyoto every month, and we go to the first one on the 25th. And they have everything, but they certainly have a lot of textiles. So I'll highlight that in my slideshow as well. So again, I've been doing it about 25 years. It's a small group. Most of the people that come with me are women in their 60s and 70s. So it's kind of geared towards a reasonable pace. It's not a get back on the bus kind of tour. We go by taxis. We really try to get some intimate feel for the town, because I love Kyoto. I go back there and it's like home. So that said, how about if I do my little slideshow? I'll kind of talk you through what we do, and then we could open it up after that.
Yeah. That sounds
All right. So I wanted to make sure you know where Kyoto is. Can you see my cursor as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Kyoto. It's in the middle of the main island of Honshu. So Tokyo is here. Osaka is here. If you're flying over, you're going to want to fly to either Tokyo and take the train, or Osaka and take a shorter train.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that is. One of the points I like to make is that and I think I already did, that there's some downtime, there's some sort of quiet, reflective time, whether you're in a workshop learning to do something, or the times we can kind of just sit in a temple and contemplate the beauty of Japan. Everywhere you look, it's quite inspiring. The gardens, of course, are beautiful. They're also manicured and they're just lovely. This is one that we would visit. In Kyoto, there are a lot of temples and shrines. This is actually, can't tell really, but it's huge. It's probably 10 stories tall at one of the temples in Kyoto. But you can see the serenity on her face, and that's hopefully what you're going to feel while you're there. When we're at the temples, you may see a wedding, which is what this is, and they don't seem to mind anybody taking photos. But the point here is that even though kimono are a traditional garb, they do wear them, but only in very special situations like this. So when you do catch them on the street, it's really something. There's some whimsical parts of Japan that I like to show you. This is a little temple. See this boxing glove here? Mm-hmm. This is a particular temple where there's hundreds of these little carved Buddhas, and they each have a different expression. It was a fundraiser for this temple in the 1980s, and this one is my favorite one there. So aside from textiles, my point is there's other things to be inspired by in Japan on this tour. So here's a little bit about the textiles that we look at. So for example, here is an artisan painting by hand 11 meters of kimono fabric. Wow. You notice this is his palette here. and there's another one he's done here. But even though he's painting this one, the colors will be slightly different each time. So it's really interesting. And this is one of my favorite photos. That is a piece of obi fabric, and obi is the belt that goes around the kimono. It's 11 meters long, 14 inches wide. And yes, he is hand painting each one of those lines, all 11 meters. Going to be there all day. Wow. But so you think it's printed, it's not. This one is cutting stencils. These days they use resin stencils, but some of the artisans still use the traditional washi paper covered with persimmon tannin, which is a water or moisture resistant finish. So he's cutting them by hand. Here's the little pieces he's cut out. And this, by the way, is also a stencil, and those are strips that are cut by hand. I don't know how many millimeters, but very little. And here is a guy doing that. He's actually cutting paper, but if you can tell that those are strips of wire, basically, he is cutting strips of paper between the wires to get the same kind of effect that you saw here. And they weave with those. So I don't know if we have a lot of weavers here or interest, but if you are, there's lots of wonderful weaving happening in Japan too. He's demonstrating on a 12-foot jacquard loom, a very traditional technique of weaving. He's actually weaving on the back side. You can see the trailing threads here. This is the front side. He has a little mirror under there. So this is the kind of thing that's fascinating to a lot of people, to see how these garments are made, how this weaving is done. It's still done that way. This photo shows a fashion show, basically. But you're not going to see this anymore. That is, I think, 3 busloads of Chinese tourists. And after COVID, Chinese tourism dropped to almost zero. So you won't see crowds like this there. I mean, a lot of Japanese tourists, of course, come to Kyoto, and it's coming back from COVID. But I think because it originated in China, there's still something going on where you won't get the big Chinese tour buses. But this particular place, it's the seat of kimono weaving in Japan, called Nishijin, in case you're familiar with that. And at the Nishijin Textile Center, you can see what kimono are currently being made for the season. And obviously, they're just gorgeous. So we do 3 workshops and 5 studio visits on our tour. So this is just one workshop I'm going to show you. It's a vegetable dye and indigo dye house about 30 miles north of Kyoto. It's in the rice fields, although they do grow their own indigo. They grow their own dye stuff there, but it's right next to the rice fields. So this is their lobby, basically. So they're dyeing yarn. So if there are anyone that knits or weaves with cotton like this or wool, they sell that as well. They've dyed all of that with natural dye stuff. There's the teacher pointing to indigo. They collected from the field. So, you suit up in your apron and you got your dye bath there, and you choose a blank, a scarf or a t-shirt or something, and then you dip dye it. She's doing, I'm not sure if that's kakishibu, which is the persimmon dye, or not, but they're doing a natural indigo vats. So a lot of people are interested in indigo. So this is a great experience for that.
Yeah.
And here's an example of things that were dyed with that group, or one of our groups anyway. Then I mentioned the temple markets. So this is the before picture. This is early in the morning. We're just starting off. And you see the temple here. And then there are hundreds and hundreds of stalls in the grounds. This is an example this is my friend Sakanashi-san. The quality of what he has here is highest in the market, and you might pay a little extra. And when I'm saying extra, maybe that's $20 for a kimono. He gives my group a discount, so it's probably a little cheaper than others would get. But you'll see that everything is beautifully hung up. He's got stuff still in paper here, so this is high quality. This is another great vendor. She does a lot of indigo and very antique cottons here, but this is more likely what you're going to see, where it's just kind of piled up, and you pick through it like a flea market, basically. They also sell, of course, non-textiles. So lots of antiques, lots of vintage stuff. If you're interested in kokeshi dolls or, I don't know, pretty much anything you can get at the flea market. And we spend at least a morning there, but it's on the last day, so you can go back, or you can spend as much time there as you want. It would take you a whole day to go through the entire market. Mm. And if your feet hurt, you can get a foot massage. That's Kathy was with our group. And this is the after picture that day. You notice we have big bags of purchases. And one thing we do on our tour is we arrive early in the morning, we meet in a couple hours, and then we'll ferry back your purchases. So you don't have to carry them around for another couple hours if you're not done browsing and shopping.
Nice.
So that's the kind of thing we try to do to differentiate what we do from to kind of customize it to what people need, and we'll make them. Sorry, this is
my God.
That's a couple years ago, but that's my room. I have to pack up everything. So obviously, maybe not obviously, but I did send a box or 2 back. You can see my suitcases here, but you didn't buy that much, did you, when you were there?
We started out with 2 suitcases and ended up with 4 suitcases and a big duffel bag. So, but it wasn't fabric. It was mostly just things from Don Quixote, like
yes.
And stuffies, a lot of stuffed toys.
Okay. Yeah.
But so I could see myself getting to this point. Yeah.
Well, so part of the tour, there's a lot of prep that we offer. And one of the highly recommended things is to bring one suitcase nested inside another one. So you only have one going over, but you'll definitely need 2 coming back.
Yeah.
So again, it's a small tour, so we travel by taxi mostly. There's one excursion day where we do rent a van, but mainly we're such a small group, very nimble. We can pop in a taxi and get anywhere, and so it's very flexible that way. In case you're tired at 2:00 and you want to skip the last thing and just go back to the hotel, we'll send you in a taxi, that kind of thing. We do take the subway. This is a subway car. We do take that sometimes. And this is the main Kyoto train station. It's huge. There's, I think, 3 department stores. There's the bullet train tracks and every other track, locals and all that. You could spend a day there. But it looks a little daunting, and it is always very crowded. But you would never be alone there.
Is that where your watch is, Libs?
Pardon?
Is that where your watch is?
I think that's where my Apple Watch is.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Did you
although it could be in my luggage at home. I want to check before I fill out yeah, it might be at the check.
Oh, but Libs, I think I told you, you should just call Yuki, and Yuki will call the station.
And I have heard that if you lose anything in Japan, people try very hard to get it back to you. It's very customary too. So if you lose your wallet or something, you can expect to get it back with everything still in it. Like it's, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very kind.
I have several stories about that. And if you're at all concerned about traveling alone as a woman or whatever, it's like the safest place you could ever go. And I'll just tell you one quick story about what Libs just said. So I was there with my sister. She left her purse at the cafe we were at. We got in the taxi, got back to the hotel. No money because then she realized that she didn't have her purse. The taxi driver calls the cafe, finds that the purse is still there under her seat. He drives us back. We go up. Of course, it's there. Thank you. We're so sorry. We're so sorry. He comes up the stairs because we were taking a while. Did you find it? Are you okay? Yeah, thank you. So then we go back down, takes us to the hotel, wouldn't charge us anything for the taxi.
Oh, wow.
That is just typical. It's not, it's a good example, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
My sister was surprised. So it's very safe. Now, if you want to go off on your own on the subway, this is the subway map. And I put this slide in there to show you that at first it can look pretty daunting. Not only this map, but maybe you don't read Japanese. Who does? You might feel like I don't speak the language. I don't know how I'm going to get around, especially on my free days. I'm here to tell you, we'll explain this to you and you'll see that it makes complete sense because the Japanese are very detail-oriented, very organized, very thorough. So once you know the system, it works like a charm. So
I found when I was traveling last month, I used Google Maps for everything, and I had a little like a pocket Wi-Fi. So I had unlimited Wi-Fi in my bag all the time. And I use Google Maps and it'll even tell you want to, turn left here. You want to go to this stand right here and get in this car. Like it very, and I had been that was the big thing I was nervous about was because I'm directionally challenged and I did not have any issues. And if I did, there's so many people there to ask.
You found people friendly, right?
Oh yeah. But for the most part, like Google Maps and Google Translate, and everything is in English, Japanese, and Korean and Chinese, I think. So, it was not.
There's lots of English. And these, as different from when I lived there, I taught English there for when I was there. And, it was less of a thing. Now everybody speaks a little English, and just with the internet and TV and movies and all that kind of stuff. And everyone really wants to help. So all you do is stand on a corner with an open map and they'll line up to help you. So I wouldn't worry anything about getting around.
Yeah.
It's a very walkable city. If you're into bicycling, it's very good for biking as well. If you're experienced on bike and you're comfortable, but it's easy to get around that way too. And this is a covered shopping arcade that's very close to the hotel we're at. So even if it's raining, if the weather's not great, if it's too hot, there's still places to shop, I guess I would say. Just a few slides about the food, because this is sometimes a concern for people. We have had a lot of experience lately with gluten-free options. But this is a typical lunch. There's the ramen noodles, This is noodles. You're still going to have rice. This is a tempura shrimp or something, and pickles. Pickles are very important there. I hope you like pickles. So noodles is one thing, and then this is another typical lunch. We'll have fish, again, rice. This is the miso soup, and this is tofu and green tea. So this, if this appeals to you, great. If it doesn't appeal to you, we can talk, and I can try to give you some other options. But it would be important it would be important to know if you didn't like Japanese food. This is an example of some of the restaurants we would stay at or eat at. Again, up and down on the floor. There is floor seating. There's cushions, but you'll see this is a step up, right? So take your shoes off here, and you can walk up here, and you have to sit on the floor. We don't do this every day, all the time, but depending on the group and the season and what's available, some places do require floor seating, and it's part of the experience. But again, I mentioned that most of my guests are women in the 60s and 70s. We're not used to getting up and down on the floor, knees and hips and all that. You can have help, but I ask people to please practice before they come. And this is what it looks like when you're actually having lunch. Now, she's sitting on, you don't have to sit like this. I sit with my feet straight under, and she has a chair, but it's a low chair. So even if we have a chair for you, it will not be a high chair, most likely. So again, a little bit of up and down. And this, I just wanted to include this because I love pickles, and there's a little bit of street food available. And I will take you to this little shop if you'd go with us. If you like green tea, there's a lot of green tea. Now, this is a tea ceremony green tea. It's not the same that I showed you before with the tofu lunch. It's all called green tea, even if it's not green. But if you like green tea, they have it in everything.
Yeah.
So there's lots of sweets available with green tea. So that's the food. Now, wandering around in Kyoto, again, some places are just, everywhere you look, it's picturesque, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Kyoto, there's two rivers that meet, and there's a little park here. So when you're looking at a map, if you can orient yourself with we used to call the crotch of the river when I lived there, then you'll be able to figure out sort of where you are. There's mountains on three sides, but the river is my sort of focal point on a map. Mm. There's a path for walking, biking, or jogging all the way up the river, which is a lovely thing to do in the morning, early in the morning, to stroll. Even at night, it's quite nice there. Lot of temples, a lot of quiet time if you want it. This is not far from the hotel. It's at the Imperial Palace grounds, and this is October, so it's not quite fall yet there. It's not hot. It's usually very cool. It's unusual to have a rainy day, but I liked her umbrella, so I asked her to go in and stand there so I could take her picture. But these sort of scenes are everywhere. There's over 2,000 temples in Kyoto. 2,000. Different sizes, of course, but there's always a quiet place around the corner, I guess is my point. This is an old tea house also in the Imperial Palace. And like I said, everywhere you look, there's just beauty. So there's no yards in Japan usually, especially in the city, but you can create your own garden out front, and you'll see this a lot too. Gardening's really important to the Japanese, I think. Mm. A lot of places to wander, not necessarily crowded. And if you don't like crowds, not a problem. I know lots of places where it's not crowded. Mm-hmm. And then I just have a few slides here at the end because I just think there's so many beautiful aspects of Japan. You can sit there and just contemplate the garden. Mm. And the garden, you'll notice things, do those look like breasts to you? I don't know. And the raking, and it's how much goes into that one scene. Hopefully the pace is slow enough that you can really observe and take it in, because they do such wonderful things with gardens and architecture and food, presentation, everything is just so many layers of interest and meaning. I love this because this is two guys up in the tree pruning the tree so it looks natural. Just with scissors, I'm sure small scissors. I can't see what he's using, but probably small scissors. And then this is the philosopher's path. So it runs along this little canal. But again, lots of strolling potential, lots of shopping potential. Mount Fuji, you can probably see from the train. You cannot see it from Kyoto, but if you take the train from Tokyo and the weather's good, you'll see it to the right.
Mhm.
And that is the end.
That's great.
Yeah, so I will stop sharing. There we go.
Hey, perfect. That's great. Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah, I'll just give you an overview of it. I couldn't show you everything, that would take hours, but hopefully give you a taste of the style of the tour, the caliber of what we do and see. I wish I had more about Yuki's cousin's place where you went to make the koi banner.
Yeah.
That's a different workshop that we do. I showed you the one in O'Hara with the indigo. So that's another example of what you would do. Can you give us a quick, I didn't really talk to you about this. What did you think about the experience and that it's painting on fabric, but there were challenges to it, right? Could you get a sense of the artistry or the history and the depth of skill?
Yeah, and so that was when I posted in the squad, I posted the first visit we did was at a dye studio where they make banners. Nancy, what's the traditional name for that?
Hata.
Hata?
Yeah, Kawai Hata is the name of the company, and Hata
Right,
is
Kawai
the
Hata.
large scale banners they make for temples.
Okay, Hata. So, and they have been around for 110 years. That building has been functioning as a dye studio. And it was really fantastic to see. You walk in and you see the different steps that go into preparing the banner to be painted. And they use like a paste resist, and a stencil. So we got to do a koi in water. And then they have everything set up for you, all the dyes and the paint brushes. And there really is a technique to like getting the dye into the different spaces and ensuring that it's soaking through the fabric. So it's on this rope so that you can twist it around as you're working to check the back. It was really interesting. But I love too, before we started painting, I guess during COVID, Rihei, who is Yuki's cousin who owns the studio, Rihei was getting a little bored, and so he got koi fish, and he's got a big pond in his backyard, a big tank with all these beautiful koi. So before we started painting, he's like, "Come out, you get to feed the koi, and just look at them and look at their patterns and get inspired before you start painting." So that was really fantastic. Yeah, and then they set it up like. They needed to prep it to give it back to you. So I think Yuki delivered it the next day once it was all dry, and they added the little wooden bars at the top and bottom and had them all ready and packaged up for us and gave them to us the next day. So yeah, it was fantastic. So that was just one thing. So that's why I feel like doing a whole trip where we get to try different workshops hands-on. Would be such a great experience.
So I have three partners basically over there. Yuki, who Libs met, and she's her cousin that has the dye studio. And Yuki actually is a designer, and she has a gallery and studio upstairs. So I worked with her for a long time. She's my concierge. So she would be meeting the group every morning to kind of go over what you're going to do today. And does anybody have any questions or any issues? She has gone to the store to get Band-Aids and aspirin for people. She has gotten train tickets for people who want to go somewhere on their free day. She can help make reservations if you want a certain kind of food for dinner. So we have that kind of service from Yuki. And then there's two gentlemen, Kenji and Ko, who you didn't meet, who are behind the scenes. They have a small travel agency, and they're the ones that arrange the hotel and make all the reservations and that kind of thing. So they actually come to the dinners. There's a welcome dinner and a farewell dinner. So you'll meet them as well. So you do get a chance. And then Junko is the guide that we have that does the translation. And, she has the clipboard and the umbrella, more or less.
Yeah.
And so you'd also meet Junko, who's pretty much bilingual and has been a tour guide for many, many, many years. So you, like Lib said, you do get to meet some locals that you wouldn't get to meet otherwise. And that's not even the artisans. That's my staff, my crew.
Mhm.
So it can, I don't want to make it sound overwhelming either, because you do have 2 free days and the evenings are free.
Mhm.
So some people just want a day to recover and they want to walk around on their own. Others want to fill it, fill every minute with every experience they can. So there's opportunity for both.
Yeah, yes. I like that you have the two like open days. And I was thinking if we had enough people, coming over who were interested in, like, say you do want to do fabric shopping for a day, if it's not already in our itinerary, then we can take one of the free days, and I'm happy to like take a group out to go fabric shopping because I found a few great places. And to the little needle shop that's like hidden down the alley that was really wonderful. So that's what's nice about this is because it's a small group, we can customize it, and I can say to Nancy, this group of people were really into this, so how could we fit that in, or what can we do in the tour to meet people's requests? So.
Yeah. So, for example, we don't have any. We have had quilters in the past. I mean, a Japanese quilter, but most of the people that come on my tour are not necessarily quilters. They love the fabric. They're doing something else with it. But we know some quilters, and so if you wanted to do a half a day in either sashiko or a quilter, or go to their studio and talk to them, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or if there's an exhibit, I mean, there's dozens of museums in Kyoto. Sometimes there's kimono museum or kimono exhibits, but there's been quilting exhibits as well. So anyway, as far as customizing to the interests of the group, certainly if it's just a couple of you, we can take you on your way on a free day, but we can also do something organized.
Yeah. Yeah. So very exciting. Do we want to talk about the dates that we have scheduled so people know, and then we can ask questions?
Yeah. So the tour always starts on the 13th of the month and ends on the 22nd. And that's because we want to catch the craft market on the 15th and the temple market on the 21st.
Yeah.
So I always encourage people to extend. Come a couple days early, stay a couple days late. We can arrange the hotel. We can add on the hotel nights for you if you just want to stay in the same place. Some people would like to try a traditional Japanese inn, where you're sleeping on the floor and futons and that kind of stuff. So we could help find a place. If you need any help finding a place, we can find that as well. But that would be separate. If you booked at the same hotel with me, you just pay me all one price. You get my rate, which is actually a pretty good rate for the hotel, like another 125 US, including breakfast, is the rate I get for this hotel. So it's much more expensive if you go off on your own, especially a ryokan. But that's a great experience, though, if you're looking for a traditional Japanese inn. So we arrive on the 13th. That's you lose a day going over, right? So if you want to arrive on the 13th, you have to leave on the 12th. But I usually recommend maybe coming a day earlier still, so you don't deal with jet lag, or you can just kind of not be rushed, because most of the flights do come in the afternoon, and we meet for dinner at 6. So it's a little tight if your plane's late or if you get a later flight. But anyway, we start with a welcome dinner on the 13th. On the 14th, there's an orientation tour of the neighborhood, which includes some shopping and where you get money and where the post office is or whatever else you need to know. And then the tour starts in the afternoon there with studio visits. Then we'd probably do, I think it's usually 2 or 3 days, depending on the day of the week and when we can go where. The free day might be in the midpoint, or after 3 days and before the last 2 days, something like that. It just depends on the artisan schedules and the days of the week. They do close sometimes during the week. But then, so that's the 13th, the 14th, 15th. We do one excursion out of town. I think I showed you the Ohara Kobo where the indigo dyeing was. That's a full day, but that's the only day outside of Kyoto. There's usually half days with lunch in between for the other tour days.
Nice.
And then again, you can extend at the end as well. We're doing this year, actually, we're doing a tour to Okinawa that happens just after the Kyoto tour. And if you're not familiar, Okinawa is the set of islands that are very south, very Polynesian, almost like Hawaiian in some ways. They have different textile techniques, and we're going to see ikat, kasuri weaving, sugarcane dyeing, bamboo fiber weaving, and bingata, which is their traditional stencil dyeing. So those kinds of things. That's a 5-night tour. First time we're doing it because we've been asked to get there, and there are not very many Okinawan textile tours out there. So we went last year, met some great artisans, very excited about offering it this year. So that would be the 5 nights following the 22nd. So 22.
So like Kyoto for 10 days. And then if you choose, you can add on the Okinawa tour.
Yeah. And you can also, if it's not full from the people from the Kyoto tour, anybody can go. It's not like you have to go there first. So if you've already been to Japan, or you're, are not able to go for the whole 9 days, just want to get a 5-night taste, you could do that in Okinawa.
Yeah. Nice. That's great.
So are you going to offer this Libs in October and May?
Well, I was planning to do the one in October.
Okay.
Nancy and I haven't talked about the May one. I don't know if Nancy already has some people booked in the May session, but
I have a couple, but
yeah. But the other thing is too, I wanted to do one with Nancy, to get to, to understand the inner workings of hosting a tour, because I haven't done it on my own before. I've taught at lots of retreats and things, but I haven't hosted one. So I thought, like, if I work with Nancy on this one, I could always customize and try and do another one in 2026. But right now our focus is on the October 2025. So
Okay.
we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's
Oh,
not.
wait, that's this.
Pardon? It's not like this is the only one that, the only time I'm going to go back to Japan. I'm like, now that I've been, I'm like, yeah, I have to go back. And there's so many things that I didn't get a chance to do that I'd love to do, and that I'd love to do with some squad members if people are available to come along, and join me. So,
And I have told Libs I'm happy to connect her with my team there. I mean, we have this infrastructure. If she can get 10 people on her own, then she can do a customized tour, picking and choosing from our menu, but adding whatever you find, whoever you meet this time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
I hope there's a future for you in Japan, maybe an annual trip.
Yeah, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is it October 2025 or 2026?
this is October 2025.
But
Okay, thank you. Very
But I
excited.
do go every year. So
Yeah,
there is
Nancy goes every year.
so the textile tour I mentioned is May and October every year.
Okay.
And one of the things I want to mention too, and we can talk about the cost, because I know we've got Americans and Canadians. The yen is low, or not low, but it's at least for like Canadians, it's on par with the dollar pretty much. And it was very easy for me to convert. Everything felt very reasonably priced. I ate a lot at 7-Elevens and at the convenience stores because they do have great meals. But like everything, $10 is 1,000 yen. It was very easy to translate it. So that was nice. And so then for Americans, it's even more efficient as far as, yeah.
So the yen rate I think as of today was 145 yen to the US dollar. We are used to it being more like 110, 120 to the dollar. So now is one of the lowest. The very cheapest was probably last year, but it still hasn't sunk to where it was before. So it's still very affordable. I mentioned the markets. You can find kimono that it may have some damage, but if you love the fabric, you can get that for 1,000 yen, which is $10 Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Lunch, our lunches are a little nicer, but you could definitely on a budget get a $10 lunch or dinner. You mentioned 7-Eleven, and it might sound strange to people to buy lunch at a convenience store, but it's good, right?
So
They'll warm
good.
it up for you. You just take it back to your room and enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the hotel is, you get single room accommodation. There's no single supplement. It's a very nice hotel, great location, beautiful bathrooms, fairly new, and it seemed to me quite new, very comfortable beds,
Looks
great
nice.
staff, nice breakfast. There's a laundry right in the facility, so you only have to bring half as many clothes as you think.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. That's what I did love that. I realized even though I tried to pack, I packed clothes in a carry-on for 2 weeks. And even that, I was like, I didn't need to bring this many pairs of pants because you could do laundry at every hotel. And then also, if you are traveling from one city to another, say you do want to extend your trip and you want to go to Tokyo, you can get your hotel to ship your luggage to your next hotel. It costs about $20 per bag, and it's there within 24 hours.
Mhm.
You just fill out, they do it too. Like I didn't have to fill out any forms. The people at the front desk, they fill out the forms, they put it on your luggage, and then it shows up at your next hotel. So that
And
Wow.
even better, they'll ship it to the airport.
yeah,
So,
which I didn't do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
yeah, you can just pick it up at the airport. It's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Just wheel it in and they take it from you. So,
yeah.
um, yeah.
So lots of convenience.
I was also going to say about the hotel that if you're traveling as a couple, you want to bring a significant other or a family member and you want a room together, this hotel has beautiful suite rooms with the laundry in that room along with the kitchenette.
Nice.
And it would be the same price if you both, if you paid for the tour. Basically, a suite costs twice as much as the single room, so it's all the same. But
Right.
if, people bring spouses, and uh, sometimes they enjoy it as much as the main guest. So
Yeah,
quilter.
for sure. So for pricing, do you want to talk about cost and down payments and all that?
Yeah. Part of the reason we're doing this now, normally the tour is full by now. So, but I had some cancellations and some reworking, and so that's why I have some openings that I'm trying hard to fill. So normally you pay a $500 deposit, which is payable on my website, and I think we'll put the link somewhere for that.
Yeah.
So it's a $500 deposit, and normally you have to pay half by now and then half in July, but I can be flexible on payments considering it's, coming. It just have to be paid in full by September or end of August, sorry, 1st of September. But I'm happy to work with anybody on a payment plan. But typically it's a $500 deposit, then half, and then the final half, depending on when you get your tickets for your flight and how many days you want to stay, I would invoice you for those on the final invoice. So it's $4,900 US. And that covers.
Yeah, what does that cover?
It doesn't cover the airfare because people hopefully have points. They can go on points, or they're coming from all over the world, more or less.
Yeah.
But it covers, of course, the hotel, all your fees. The only thing you're paying for separately would be your dinners, and even then, people tend to have very light dinner because breakfast and lunch is a pretty good meal, and then of course any shopping that you do.
Yeah.
So pretty much everything else is covered. And so people sometimes ask, how much money am I going to need? And I always say, how much are you going to buy? But I did say, $10, $20 for a full kimono is kind of the most you would really need to pay, unless you're looking for something really exquisite, wedding kimono or an antique indigo something. But
yeah, and I found that with fabric, like quilting fabric at Nomura Taylor, it was all pretty much on par with what we would pay in Canada, if not the US. Like, a half yard might would be $13, or and a fat quarter might be around $4. So which for Americans, I guess, is $3. So yeah, it's still, you're not paying more money for things over there.
Yeah, people do think that it's expensive in Japan, and in the past it has been when it was 100 yen to the dollar. But
right now is the time.
Once you get there, it's not that much. The airfare, you can look into it. I know I'm in New York, it usually costs anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500, depending on when I buy it and what the gas prices are or the fuel prices are.
Yeah. And then the other thing, which I just wanted to say, I've seen some other tours, and I do love that Nancy, really is budget conscious, and has worked out some really excellent deals with the hotel and with the tour guides and everybody to keep the costs low. This does feel, and I know it's a privilege to go on a big trip like this and spend this kind of money on a trip. But I've seen some other tours and some other quilter led tours to Japan recently that are like twice as much.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this is a really reasonable price for all the things that all the experiences that you're getting out of this trip. So if it's something you can do, something you can manage, I say like take the leap and go for it, because I did once already this year and it's absolutely worth it, and I'm really excited to do it again. So yeah.
So this tour, we're maxing it out at 14 people.
Yeah.
I mean, normally it's 10, but depending on Lib's followers and what the interest is, we could go up to 14 and still get the same caliber of experience.
Yeah, it's still nice and small.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sort
Yeah,
of.
4 taxis. I try to keep it so we only need 4 taxis at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be great. In the chat, I've put the link to Nancy's site, to the page with the description of the tours and the deposit, link to the deposit. And then we're really trying, we would love to have people, commit or like give a deposit by the end of May, the end of this month. I am going to send out a newsletter, and Nancy's going to send out a newsletter. I wanted the Sew Squad to be the first people to know all about this, because I would love, you get first dibs on everything, and I want, and I know all of you, so I know that I would love to travel with any one of you in here. But I'm going to send out a newsletter later this week, I think on Wednesday. So that'll be opening it up. And right now I think there are 9 spaces left.
Maybe 8.
Maybe
It
8.
depends. I got another inquiry today. She said she's going to sign up with her daughter, but we'll see.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. If you've got questions after this, I know it's a lot of information, but you're welcome to ask me. If I don't know the answer, I can feed it through to Nancy. I'll post in the squad Nancy's contact information, so you can reach out directly to Nancy as well. If you need an alternate payment plan, because you really want to go, Nancy's flexible on all of that. Yeah, I really hope some of you will be able to come and join us, because it's going to be fantastic.
It's really, yeah. Go ahead.
Question. Any suggestions for airlines to avoid or
Yes, I have some. Where are you coming from?
Midwest? So either out of
I'm sorry.
Midwest, probably out of
The Midwest.
Dallas or Kansas City.
Well, I usually go United. I don't think United has a hub there.
United flies out of Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
So United has a connection in San Francisco, probably for you, and that goes directly to Tokyo or to Osaka. So I know United does that. It's from San Francisco, not from LA. So I don't know why, but there's not as good a connections from LA for some reason.
And that would be like a decent, that flight from San Francisco, wouldn't that only be like 6 hours or 7 hours?
No, it's still 9 or.
Oh, because Vancouver is.
Yeah, it seems like it's closer. It's true. I'm from New York. It's 13 hours going over and 11 coming back.
Yeah, that's the way it is for us too. But half of that is just crossing Canada. So, if you get to Vancouver and you're like, wait, if I lived in BC, I would only have to travel half as far.
I used to live in Oregon, and so I would travel from Seattle or San Francisco, and it still was, I guess it was still 9 hours.
It's okay. Just sleep on the plane.
So it's 3 meals, 5 movies.
You just get through it. But United would be a good American one. In Canada, Air Canada flies direct. They have sometimes they do stop in Vancouver, but there are some.
Now there's a Air Canada out of Dallas Fort Worth.
Oh, that's cool.
Really? It doesn't go back to Canada?
It says one stop in whatever
Vancouver. That's Vancouver.
YYZ.
Oh, that's Toronto.
Oh, that's
Why was it Toronto?
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's going that
So it's
way?
going up yeah.
yeah.
It's going east.
Yeah.
But
That
first,
way.
and then it goes west. Yeah.
I want to go like straight through. We got any of those?
I
Drill,
wish.
baby, drill.
I wish.
Okay.
That's the fun. I have a weird thing where I really enjoy looking for flights and then also like deep diving into hotels and just it's my thing. Rather than shopping online, I like to do that. So if you want help just looking at flights,
I've done lots of flying
Yeah.
in the United States a lot.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's a really good rate though on Alaskan,
Oh, that'd be a good airline.
That is a good airline.
but it stops in PDX. Is that Portland
Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Honolulu?
Oh,
Mm.
that's too bad. That might
Yeah.
be-
Have a little stopover there for a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the Seattle area, and Alaska has recently started advertising that they do direct to Tokyo, but I don't see any when I'm looking
Huh.
around the date, so I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if Cathay Pacific goes there, but that is one of the best airlines I have
Yeah.
ever flown on.
Mhm. It is
It
great.
was
What's that, Deb?
outstanding.
It's Singapore, right? Cathay Pacific's from Singapore, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say also is that with United, if you're lucky, you can find a code share with ANA, All Nippon Airlines. So the crew is Japanese, the food is Japanese, and the experience is Japanese. So sometimes I get lucky on United, and it happens to be an ANA code share flight.
Cool.
But if you can do that, you won't regret it. It just makes it's just such a nicer flight.
Yeah. Nice.
okay.
Great.
Cathay is Hong Kong.
Oh,
Hong Kong.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
all right. Perfect.
Oh, beautiful airline.
Hmm. I think I might have flown it once a long time ago, but yeah, it's right up there with Thai Air and
Yeah. And then there's the budget ones. There is one I saw flying out of Vancouver. I think, is it called like Zip Air or something?
International.
And
Yeah.
it's, out of Vancouver. And I think it's like they were advertising for the summer flights that were 400 Canadian dollars to go to Japan, but I'm imagining it like a cargo plane, something where you're sitting between boxes. So
Bring
I
your
don't,
parachute.
you really want to think, how comfortable do I want to be? Because I'm also going to get there and
Right.
a little tired. So
I went on an Air China once, which was a difficult thing because you have to be very careful where you are in Beijing. You have to follow the line because you don't have a visa anyway. And it was I don't know, interesting. But it was cheap.
yeah.
But then the stopovers, can add hours to your already very long flight. So I usually recommend a direct flight. And I'm happy to talk to anybody before you book, just in case. So, for example, if you fly to Tokyo, it's not difficult to catch the train from Narita to Narita Airport to the bullet train to Kyoto. It might take you 3 hours.
Yeah, the bullet train was a 2-hour train,
Oh,
and it was so comfortable. It was like,
It's a good
plush.
experience. The
yeah,
only downside of that is if after 13 hours in the air, your brain isn't working as well as you'd like it to be. Narita is a huge airport. You're
yeah,
gonna
just navigating.
follow- navigating to them, But again, we can help with that. These
Yeah.
days with AI and with YouTube, you can see it all before you do it,
Yeah,
but you have to just be okay, be awake when you get off the flight.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
I would do that. There is a domestic airport close to Kyoto, so you could transit through Narita and just go there. It adds some hours, but some people prefer just get me as close as you can, and then
Yeah.
I'll take the limo bus.
And if you're flying into Osaka, that's only an hour train, right?
And the train is right at the airport, takes you right to Kyoto Station. Yeah, that's the flying directly to Kansai International.
And I felt like showing up and I only went to the Kyoto train station. But as far as traveling on the train goes, I was in the Tokyo train station in Kyoto. Kyoto as a city, I should say too. Tokyo is massive. I used to think that Manhattan was the center of the universe, New York City, and it's in my heart. It's like my second home. But then you get to Tokyo and it's huge. And that's what I loved. Kyoto was much, I don't know, it felt more less busy and hectic. There's a lot more calm spaces you can find, and it's a little calmer. And I don't know, more. I don't want to say a small town because it's a city, but it did have a much more town feeling to it. I love both of them, but it's a nice introduction, I think, to get used to that and then hit Tokyo if you have time and enjoy that from a big city perspective. So.
Yeah, Kyoto is like the heart of Japanese traditional culture. It survived the war, as maybe some of you know. It was never bombed during the war, and so you've got buildings that are 2,000 years old next to high rises. But what was I going to say about that? It's very walkable. There's no, let's see, I think it's 5 stories. There's no towers.
Yeah.
There's no high rises. It's all
Maybe that's why it felt different.
there's a cap on how tall the buildings can be. It might be 8 floors, but that's a lot.
Yeah, that's probably why it felt so different. Was
And the
just
fact that you have old temples in
Yeah.
neighborhoods right
Yeah.
next to houses, there's no zoning there. So you're walking down the street and all of a sudden there's this beautiful temple and then there's a car park or a department store.
yeah, but well, great. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. I hope this is getting has piqued your interest, and I hope some of you will reach out. And if you've got questions, post them in the squad or reach out to Nancy or I, and hopefully we'll see some of you signing up. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, Nancy, for doing all of that. That was wonderful.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thanks.
Sorry about the
Nancy.
tech issue.
That's okay.
No worries.
You're good.
Appreciate your flexibility on that.
All good.
All
Great.
right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.